on the Fringe with Sean Connery. With who? Ah, Dan RadioStyle. Give the guy one thing to do. One thing. He gets it messed up. Whatever the hell. On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope you guys are doing well. We got weird things going on in the world. I'm expecting possibly, I'm putting an energy on us paying attention to it so it doesn't happen, hopefully. We got a possibility with some black swan, but it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be more financial. I think it's going to be more like them trying to blame Russia for something. So be on the lookout for that. They're going to try to spin it. I don't think it's going to be successful, especially with us paying attention. I think the time is very close, and we'll get into some details on that. We've got a lot of information around everything that's going on right now. It's kind of one of the good things about tuning into On the Fringe. You should hit that thumbs up if you could. Please subscribe if you could as well. J.D. Vance, dude's got a sense of humor. I like that about him. I guess South Park has made fun of him, and he says, well, I finally made it, referencing the South Park, little teeny tiny J.D. Vance next to big giant Trump. It's pretty damn funny, and the fact that he's able to laugh about it, well, kudos is to there as well, I guess. This is just information that might help a lot of you guys. One of the reasons why people are frequently called, or will call you, a conspiracy theorist, or an anti-vaxxer, or climate denier, or far right, right? Like they got all these nicknames, right? Hate speech, terrorist, racist. All of these words are words that are meant to trigger a response. And most people kind of crawl inside it. It's a kill switch, is what they call it, a linguistic kill switch. If you want to sound famous, you want to throw down like a bitch and Scrabble word, right? Linguistic. I'm planning on adding kill switch to it later, right? Like it is a very interesting mechanism that happens in people. Being able to step past that, it actually takes work. It's taken me a long time, frankly. I've had the hardest time with the name calling thing for some reason. I don't know why. Shouldn't. Sticks and stones, right? But it seems when certain people, or when they come close to the truth, or, right, they're just certain things sometimes. And it's part of the process of kind of coming out of your cocoon, if you will. You got to break through that mold. Mr. Murdoch. What is his first name? Rupert. What a great name. What a cool first name, right? Rupert. It's like from money. Yes, please. Rupert, please. Like, I've never known a Rupert in my life. I didn't go to any crazy schools, though. I'm sure a lot of people out there are like, dude, oh, totally. My buddy Chad and Rupert, like, we hung out all over the place. Needless to say, Rupert Murdoch, he's agreed to provide regular health updates. Apparently, he can't make it to court for this Trump $10 billion lawsuit. This is the one that had to do with the love letter, essentially, that was written to Epstein for his birthday. And the fact that Murdoch pushed it anyways. I'm doubtful that Rupert was involved anyways. Probably his kids. Whatever. We'll see, again, how these things play out. The judge has basically agreed. He's like, yeah, you got to keep telling us what's up. Otherwise, this is going to happen. So we'll see how this plays out. The dude's 94. He's, I don't know, about as close to death as you can get without being dead, I think. Pretty close. Reasonably close. We got Trump donating his paycheck to the White House Historical Association. I like that he's using his paycheck now for something rather than just don't pay me. He's like, oh no, you can. I mean, you're not going to pay me, but we're going to take that money and donate it. So Trump donates his paycheck to the White House Historical Association. This is the renovation efforts for the ballroom construction. I mean, again, it's not supposedly $200 million is going into it, but he's throwing, $440,000 or $400,000 or whatever the heck the president gets. I think it's $400,000, something like that. Cool money. Donating. Like it, right? All right, so getting into the Texas fiasco. First off, grab a taco if you have a chance to. Second, we're now finding out that George Soros and good old skateboarding Beto O'Rourke apparently behind a lot of the funding for the Dems fleeing Texas over the GOP congressional map. Infamous donor. And, apparently, Powered by the People, PBP, founded by O'Rourke, has played a major role in supporting the roughly 50 Democrats who departed for New York and Illinois, paying the airfare, lodging, and helping with the $500 per day fines the lawmakers are going to face. Well, from that standpoint, and we're going to get there, but that's illegal. Not just illegal to provide illegal for them to receive. It's illegal. It's problematic very much. This is going to be beyond fun, I think. So the FBI is involved in the search. They're going to hunt him down. You know, Cornyn's thanking him. Cornyn's just trying to get some positive points. Don't forget, we don't like Cornyn. Cornyn's not going to ever make it through this. Cornyn, you do what you got to do. Otherwise, you're going to get even more annihilated. I'm surprised you're actually on our side in this case, but you are definitely somebody that's getting replaced. So don't get too comfortable in your kindness. But yes, FBI, thank you, FBI, for helping, says Cornyn. Pile of trash. Abbott says FBI is tracking down the Texas Democrats, which is fantabulous. But he also says some very other cool stuff in here. He just talked about how the DPS and FBI are tracking down these Democrats. Says, I don't see why the FBI would be involved in this at all. I mean, this is a Texas politics, and the FBI has no business trying to enforce Texas law. It's a good point. That was Richard Painter, whoever the hell that is. Let's see. FBI, yeah, where's the part? I thought there was a part in here. The only federal law that I think is being violated. Where's the one for the, there was one in here for the, that I thought the governor said. Tracking down these guys. Because there was a point, maybe it's something else. Yeah, here it is. Sorry. He launched an investigation into Beto O'Rourke's radical group for unlawfully funding runaway Democrats. He says any Democrat, this is Ken Paxton, any Democrat coward breaking the law by taking Beto bribe will be held accountable. He's already talked about how he was going to go after him, how he considered this bribery. I thought that was in the article. I thought it was in one of these articles. Maybe it's this guy. But still, I don't want to waste time trying to find it again. One of these articles talked about how Abbott was like, this is not legal. You're not allowed to do this, period. End of story. That's all there is. That's all she wrote. End of story. Yeah, I said that twice. Okay, whatever the hell. I'm done with that one. That story's killing me. More is coming. Friday's the deadline. They're expected to have to speak to like what's going on. They have to talk to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave until Friday to make a response. Assuming they make a response, they're not stupid, I don't think. I'm sure that's part of what they're doing right now. I think they're going to have a really hard time on this, and I think it's going to be fun to watch it play out because, again, Abbott can continue to call special sessions and have this go on. And they need to pass stuff, and it's just going to look worse and worse. This is absolutely going to be egg on the face of the Democrats. So, again, steps made in the right directions. Fort Stewart shooter has been identified as Army Sergeant Cornelius Radford. Fort Stewart, yeah. This 5 soldiers have been shot. They're all stable. Fellow soldiers stopped the gunman. He was expecting to die. He did message a bunch of people prior. And basically, he was saying, look, I'm about to, here he goes. I don't have reasons to believe that where is he? I'm having a hard time today, guys. There's too much in here. But he did talk about how he was planning on doing something and he would be in a better place soon. I'm losing everything. This is really funny. I can't find any of the stuff that was. Oh, well. Other than that, I can motivate. Yeah, so we'll see how this all continues to play out. But the soldiers are safe, thank goodness. And this guy expected to die and didn't. And he did put out some tweets and texts. Basically, it was a text message, I believe, to his aunt or something like that. Basically saying, I'm about to do something. It should make things better. It kind of had that sound to it, like, death by cop, if you will. And what is interesting, again, is I would wonder what his psychiatry status is or who his psychiatrist, what drugs. There's certain drugs or certain people, there's a combination maybe of the two that seem to be able to program people very specifically. Some of these things are a trip because like normal people don't just decide to go start shooting up stuff. Like that's just not, that's not normal behavior. Something's got to be really off. We've got this whole thing going on with the end of the war, possibly. What's profound about this is the last story. But right now, U.S. has made acceptable offer to Kremlin saying. So Yuri Ushakov, he's praised the talks between Vladimir Putin and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. So we talked about how Witkoff went out there. We talked about that yesterday. Talked about how it went well, but again, joking. Every time we say that, then missiles fly into Ukraine. I don't actually recall seeing any attack stories today, oddly, now that I think about it. But this is an acceptable offer. The offer you've given us is one we can accept. Zelensky says it's time to end the war. So even Zelensky's on board, well, maybe, on board with, they can get some sort of false flag. We'll see. But this guy's like, he's got no other options. Nobody's got weapons to give him. People are claiming they do, but it's going to take 5 years for us to give you a replacement. So, all right, you want to go ahead and give up what little you got? Have at it. Otherwise, we don't have it to give. Sorry, I've got no square to spare, if you remember that Seinfeld episode. So Kremlin confirms that Trump and Putin will be meeting in the coming days. They've talked about how there is absolutely zero reason for them to meet, them two specifically, Trump and Putin, unless a deal is being signed. The fact that Trump and Putin are meeting means a deal is being signed. It implies, because like I said, I don't want to get ahead of it, that maybe there's a small temporary ceasefire, and that essentially Trump probably said something to the effect of, the borders you got now are cool. This war's got to stop. People are dying on a daily basis. We want to see elections. We want whatever, and we want to be a part of the rebuilding. I'm sure that's part of what Trump's dealio is. It'll be good for us, and we can help feel good about ourselves and rebuilding rebuilding them after we let them kill themselves, all of themselves, like generations of people in Ukraine are now dead. But that's cool, so long as we made a point. That was a fight for democracy or something or other. Anyway. Steve Bannon, not Steve Bannon, what's this dude's name? Peter Navarro, sorry. He made a point to call out George and Alex Soros for their involvement in the Russiagate conspiracy. I'm not quite sure why this is here. I guess, because it ties into the Russiagate. And I meant to sort of bridge in I think some of it is us publicly sort of apologizing because we've badmouthed Russia with the Russiagate stuff so much for 8, 12 years now, right? It's been brutal. So that's kind of got to get cleaned up a little bit too. So Peter Navarro's not necessarily talking about that. He's talking about the important part, which is the political scandal that's coming forward. But let's tie the two together in my little imaginary world, if you would, please.
Now, let me just really shift gears radically because I want to talk a little bit about the Russia hoax, the Grassley report, and the Durham Annex, which came out last week. I had been working with Senator Grassley's office. I got to give him three cheers because he's been working relentlessly to get out the information about the Russia hoax. And here's what I want to say. I went to prison, as did Steve Bannon, for defending the Constitution. But there isn't a single person associated with the Russia hoax that's been held accountable. And the list is a long one. It goes Obama, Clinton, FBI Director Comey and other people worked there, like Page and Strzok. It involved the intelligence community and Brennan and Clapper. And the importance of the Durham Annex is that ties it all together and brings also in George Soros and his son Alex and the Open Society Foundation. And this is the most sophisticated political scandal that's ever been engineered. No one's been held accountable. Good for Attorney General Pam Bondi for pursuing that. And the most important thing I can tell you, if people are not held accountable for the Russia hoax, they will do it again. If people are not held accountable, they will do it again. And that's what I'm most concerned about. Okay?
I like the fact that Peter's still involved in the administration. I think that says volumes about Peter and what he's involved with and who he is and integrity and how pissed he is. Trump wants to exclude illegal migrants from the next census. He's putting this all together right now. Truth out. I have instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern-day facts and figures and, importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024. People who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love how he finishes it off that way. Stephen Miller revealing that Democrats got 20 to 30 House seats because they were counting illegal.
Illinois, Chicago, New York, Massachusetts. Democrats have gerrymandered the vote beyond recognition to try to maintain their advantage in the House elections. On top of that, let's not forget, Democrats rigged the 2020 census by including illegal aliens. Remember, they sued Donald Trump. They sued the administration. They fought tooth and nail to include illegal aliens in the census. 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist but for illegal aliens. Texas is taking just a small corrective step against this ocean of fraud, this ocean of abuse by the corrupt Democrat Party, Sean.
Yeah, it is. It's coming to the surface. I guess this is like the governor of Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey. This is a very interesting picture of her, I guess, that they chose to use. Makes me laugh. A lot of things want to come out of my mouth right now, but I'm going to try to be nice. But the Democrat to performatively threaten retaliatory redistricting in the state that invented gerrymandering. The state that invented gerrymandering is threatening to gerrymander further because of what they call gerrymandering happening in Texas, even though Illinois is heavily gerrymandered, New York's gerrymandered, Massachusetts invented it. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. Whoever controls the state generally tries to spin it in their advantage. Welcome to politics. Hello. It's all right when they do it, not all right when we do it. Seattle Democrat mayor, progressive activists are the top primary finishers. Yeah, so Seattle's Portland now. This is so sad. So sad. Just a place I spent a lot of time as a youngin' hanging out. And, yeah, it's a bummer. Bummer that Seattle has fallen so far. The two people are very progressive that are neck and neck, 46% and 45%. So, yeah, two very progressive people. One more city we've lost, it seems. We'll see how it all plays out in the big picture, but these are the cities that have burned and will likely continue. Portland, are we ever surprised when they're throwing Molotov cocktails? No. Seattle, we surprised? No. Chicago? No. Right? New York? Little. But it does happen. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson saying finances at this point are at the point of no return, he's saying. Oh my gosh, we're so broke. What, super blue state? Really? Broke? Huh. You got horrible crime, so you barely even pay, you don't even have enough cops. You guys got dangerous cities, streets, like nothing's working properly in your whole thing, right? Your whole city and state. You guys gerrymander, by the way, just saying. Yeah, and see how well it's working. Chicago's facing a disastrous $1.1 billion deficit. A lot of this, too, is U.S. aid funding. Trust me, a lot of this stuff. U.S. aid funding, direct payments from the federal government that are no longer happening. Some of this is resistance to the DEI stuff and the Title IX and all that crap. So, again, there's a lot of things that are coming together here, and we're seeing it play out. So, again, things are happening at the speed they're happening. A lot of things kind of have to play out, right? Got some good election information here. Got a federal court in Oregon that ruled that its lawsuit filed on behalf of Judicial Watch, the Constitution Party of Oregon, and two registered voters to force the cleanup of Oregon's voter rolls may proceed. So they're moving forward with that. That's fantastic. Again, the voter rolls is going to be a big deal going into this next election. That's going to shave off a lot of the BS that the deep state wanted to use. Then when we go to paper ballots and likely ID to vote in the federal election, they will have no real way to be able to mess with this. It's going to be a tough one. Let's put it that way. At least it's going to be really tough for them to amass enough cheating to be able to pull it off. Sure, they'll be able to create some fake driver's licenses and stuff like that. They've already got a bunch of them. Hopefully we know who those are. Again, I want to remind you guys, MyPillow, they gave us a sweet sale. Had the cool, 17, 18 minutes of Mike Lindell yesterday. A lot of fun. And they're giving us a couple special things. First off, specifically us, OTF. You want to go to mypillows.com/OTF, specifically my landing page, mypillow.com/OTF. I don't even know if this shows up anywhere else. And if you put the OTF coupon code, not sure you're going to get free shipping. But if you go to mypillow.com/OTF, free shipping on anything, your entire order. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how little or how big you go. Also, they're doing a whole bunch of employee pricing, a whole bunch of stuff. It's just a pillow specifically. But these are the kind of the original My Pillow. There's two different. They called this like the knife edge or the edge, something knife edge type of pillow. And then these are like stitched down. They got another name for it. These are slightly different. They're just kind of squared off, basically. It's the same fill. So it's definitely a pillow that I'm loving. And it's employee pricing, literally. This is what the prices that the employees pay. Exact same price. He's giving us that. And then you're getting anything, $100 of order, and you're getting a whole bunch of digital coupons. Very cool stuff. I actually gave my housekeeper 2 of the pillows. I wanted her to try. I want to hear what she says. She's not like, all pro, everything that's going on with the conservative side of the fence. I thought this was a good place to, because she was here when I was talking to Mike and recording that. She's like, "You're off your phone call?" I'm like, it wasn't really a phone call, but yeah. All said, they got the best towels too, guys. Check them out. $9.99 for the kitchen towels, and then the bath towels are just awesome. They're also doing those full-size bath towels actually, and those are epic. They are huge. The beach towels are huge too. They got those 50% off right now. Beach towels are huge. They're like big towels too. Again, even if you're poor, right? You're living poor right now. Get the beach towels. They're 50% off, and you can use them in the bath. Who cares? Like, right? It's all right. They already walk in and they're like, seriously? Like, right? So, okay, you're using beach towels to dry off. You can use them down at the pool as well. It's a win-win. Folks, telling you, working with you here. Also, believe it or not, mattress. They can mail those to you. No shipping. No shipping, right? You need a mattress? You got a spare room? Literally, they can ship it to you. $799.99 starts at. Great mattresses, by the way. They're really good mattresses. Oh, yeah, shipping. Free. Something to think about. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Please get the best night of sleep you've ever had. While I'm still allowed to say that. Tulsi Gabbard's talking on the mainstream propaganda media. Said we should accept nothing they say at face value. This was actually a really good bit that she did here. Check this out.
A grand jury investigation is now underway regarding the Trump-Russia hoax. The media enablers that peddled the lie for years, though, are circling the wagons.
This is extraordinarily stupid. It's extraordinarily stupid on so many counts. Barack Obama had nothing to do with this by anybody's accounts.
We're all for transparency on any potential corruption, right? But this is something that has been combed over for a decade now.
I think they're trying to create the appearance of progress in this investigation without actually making any progress.
They all did their job, right? For the 4 years, 5 years. Meanwhile, President Trump, he's awaiting answers.
I have nothing to do. Pam is doing a great job. I have nothing to do with it. I will tell you this. They deserve it. I was happy to hear it. I actually read it just like you did. I have nothing to do with it.
Here with reaction is Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence. Director Gabbard, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Laura.
There's a report tonight from the Federalist that the DOJ is actually asking you for more documents in its grand jury probe. Is that true? And what are they asking for now?
That is true, Laura, and I just want to point out how important this is that Attorney General Pam Bondi, through the Department of Justice, is taking this necessary first step toward accountability, which is essential for the American people to begin to have any kind of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. I met with the Department of Justice prosecutors today, and yes, they are committed to leaving no stone unturned as they conduct this grand jury investigation and find the truth. Obviously, we've already handed over the documents that we've declassified and released publicly over the last few weeks. They have more questions, and they're going to be really taking a deep dive into this, again, looking everywhere to find the truth and conduct this very serious investigation.
You heard the media reaction, and a lot of these same people were just buying lock, stock, and barrel what was sold to them during the 2016 election. But they're essentially saying, this is all old news. This is such a stupid political move on their part. Into that, you say?
They are using the same old tactic that the deep state's propaganda arm in the media uses. Whenever they come across something that is true and that doesn't go along with whatever their narrative is that they're trying to shove down the throats of the American people, they first usually ignore it, as they did when I first released these documents a couple of weeks ago. They tried to ignore it when they realized that they weren't going to get away with this, that this story was going to continue breathing life. We continued releasing new documents. Then they decided, oh, we'll take this approach of say, oh, this is nothing. There's nothing really to see here. This is bizarre. This is a conspiracy. These are the things that they do over and over and over again. And the next step they will take when they feel that they are not succeeding in getting rid of this truth that we have uncovered for the American people, then they will go down the route of we must destroy and smear and attack the credibility of those who are delivering the truth to the American people. They've done this to President Trump. They've done this to me. They've done this to so many different people, once again, who are trying to tell the American people the truth and expose these people, many of whom you just showed, for who they are as the propaganda arm of the deep state, which would have no power and no influence if they weren't able to feed their lies into a willing spokesperson through the propaganda media.
Now, Director, you said there was irrefutable evidence that Obama was the mastermind of this intelligence manipulation and the perpetuation of the Russia hoax. What is that irrefutable evidence for our viewers tonight?
Yeah, Laura, as you were playing those clips of these people like Morning Joe seemingly befuddled, saying that by no account is any of this true, I would challenge them to see if they've actually read the documents, every single page of the documents that we've released over the last couple of weeks. If not, go to odni.gov, It's all right there for anyone to see. And those who go in and read this will see how President Obama directed that a National Security Council meeting be called to talk about Russia, that the report that came out of that meeting was filled with tasks that were delivered by James Clapper's assistant to John Brennan and to other elements of the intelligence community. John Brennan was the head of the CIA at the time, all saying per the president's direction, per the president's order. And very specifically, they were tasked to create an intelligence assessment that detailed how Moscow tried to influence the election, not if, but how. And this was the beginning of this manufactured intelligence assessment where they knowingly wrote things in this assessment that were false, and they knew they were false. They knew that they were basing it on discredited intelligence or documents like the Steele dossier that was politically motivated and that they knew was false. And this was how they came up with the Russia hoax that was then weaponized and used to try to delegitimize the president, President Trump, and to try to ultimately enact this years-long coup throughout his entire 4 years of his first administration.
And they further say that there's like this idea of saying that Obama is guilty of treason, that there's almost no chance that he's going to be charged or convicted of treason. So why even go there? And I'll pose that question to you.
The integrity of our democratic republic depends on the American people knowing the truth about what actually happened and seeking that accountability, bringing about that accountability. I don't know how else to characterize what happens when there is a sitting president of the United States, there is a director of the CIA, a director of national intelligence under President Obama, the head of the NSA, James Comey is the head of the FBI, all coming together, and this is documented in what we released, all coming together to create this lie with the intent of delegitimizing the duly elected president of the United States because the person they wanted to win actually lost. And the American people made their own choice in spite of everything that happened in that 2016 election, and they chose Donald Trump. This was not a one-off thing. This wasn't just, oh, well, they fudged the lines a little bit. They created a lie and propagated that lie in order to try to undermine the person that the American people chose to be our president and commander-in-chief.
To your point that you made earlier, that when they're losing on the facts, they demonize the messenger. And in this case, you're the messenger. And I think this is a big reason. Your opposition to the forever war syndrome, that's one reason. But then this was another reason they clearly did not want you in your position. And to that point, Mark Warner, of course, Democrat senator from Virginia, wrote on X today, Tulsi Gabbard is a threat to our national security and should be fired. He's taking his orders pretty well, don't you think, Director?
He has and continues to be a reliable soldier. And you're right there, Laura, to make that comparison, because these very same tactics they are using now are the same tactics that the warmongers of Washington have consistently used whenever anyone challenges them to say, hey, this does not serve the best interests of the American people. It does not make us more safe, secure, and free. So why are you doing this? Exposing these people for who they are, and once again, who is the deep state? What does it consist of? We're seeing this revealed in real time here. And it's important for the American people to pay attention and realize, like, hey, with the mainstream propaganda media, we got to pay attention. We got to use our common sense and recognize we should accept nothing they say at face value.
And how important is it to root out any remaining problems in these agencies, Director? Because we need our people to believe in the FBI, to believe in the CIA, to or get rid of them altogether. I mean, I hate to say that, or just completely defund a lot of these intelligence agencies. If we can't trust them, if they're going to subvert democracy and subvert our presidency, why are we funding them?
Well, this is, and I'll go back to that Mark Warner tweet that you put out saying that I'm a threat to national security. Why? Because I'm actually exposing the truth. As Director of National Intelligence, I'm doing the work to go and root out those deep state bad actors within the intelligence community because our country's national security depends on it. The rule of law requires it. The integrity of our democratic republic requires that, rooting out the truth, telling the truth to the American people, and bringing about that accountability. So yes, it is essential across the board, not only to root out the individual bad actors, but to enact the kind of institutional reform to make it so that these kinds of things cannot be allowed to happen again.
Director, thank you very much.
Yeah, so again, just everything that has been done to us, one, as for the most part, needs to be demonstrated to the general masses. This is what we're going through. When people talk about how for 10 days they're going to play on the TV this message over and over, I think we're heading in that direction if there is such a time. Otherwise, that's kind of what we're going through right now. That's the part of the movie where we're all just like, literally, there's constantly this bombardment of new information. Painting the picture, showing really how bad things actually are. Brazil tries to impeach, apparently for the 30th time. Holy crap. The judge that put Jair Bolsonaro under house arrest, our good old friend Alexandre de Moraes. I did finally find the picture, by the way. It was difficult to find, of him where he looks like he's got this like angel outfit. So this is where I got that craziness from. I don't know what's up with this thing. I don't know what's up with this outfit. Not sure. It looks like there's even knots. Is this starched like this? He's just like, hi, I'm ready to just paraglide. I'm going to go up to the big Jesus and then jump off. I don't know. I don't know what the point of this thing is. Normally, it doesn't seem to be like this. This seems to be a special occasion. And with his witch belt. I'm surprised he doesn't have some weird-ass hat. Anyway, whatever. Nothing makes sense to me ever. Donald Trump talks about the Epstein's files being total bullshit.
Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw it reported today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country, and that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay? Yeah, please.
A new Gallup poll said,
"Make cussing great again." Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, all these people out there that can't. He said a cuss word. My child. Your child hears you cuss all the time. Please. Now, there are a few of you that don't. I'm quite sure. I've met people. It trips me out. Always does. It's like, what? You don't cuss at all. And then you hang out with them for a while, and you're like, nah, you really don't. You never cuss. Holy daggum. Supremes are going to consider the legality of race-based districts and a possible boon to GOP redistricting efforts. So this is funny. This is where we're tricking them, I think. Because right now the Democrats are running down this where you can't base stuff off, because they're pissed at Texas. You can't base stuff off of race. Because right now Texas is carving out 4 of the 5 areas are going to be just strictly Hispanic. And what it's going to show is that they're overwhelmingly Republican. And what that's going to demonstrate, and it's going to help with, is the actual real numbers of how Hispanics as a group feel about the crazy progressive radical stuff that the left is doing. And the left thinks they've got everybody that's a minority, everybody that's weird, everybody that's whatever, right? Whatever alphabet letter you want, right? If you got special pronouns, whatever the shizzle your thing is, okay. But there's There's not that many of them. There's way more of us. And when they let us count the numbers properly, they'll find that. And in fact, the black community is starting to split pretty hard right now. It's mostly the men, because men have just been bastardized heavily. And then in the black community, I think there's a bit of a fight going on there. It's part of the family problem, I think, that exists. There's many that have tried to work on that problem from within, and certainly not my place by any stretch of the imagination. So the Supremes are going to look into this idea that is it legal to redraw these maps based off of racial reasons. Now, the fighting of this, again, is, it's racial. That's not fair. The Voting Rights Act was passed during the Civil Rights era to combat rampant discrimination against black Americans in the South in voting laws. Section 2 prohibits, and this is important, prohibits race-based discrimination in state voting laws. It prohibits race-based discrimination. Discrimination by race. Well, that's not necessarily drawn out an area for Hispanic culture, right? Like how is that discrimination? You're not discriminating, you're highlighting to agree, aren't you? Now again, it's an interesting argument. They've got to come from this side too, which I think I hopefully highlighted. That one I found. This one will be trickier now that I see that the highlight didn't stick. But there is the Voter Rights Act suggests several factors. Court is determining. Where is it? Oh, it sucks so bad. Here it is. You can't discriminate on the basis of race, color, or membership in one language minority group identified in this, Section 4 Yabba. Most of the cases arising under Section 2 since its enactment involved challenges to at-large election schemes, but the sanctions prohibition against discriminating in voting applies nationwide to any voting standard, practice, or procedure that results in the denial or abridgment of any right of any citizen. So again, I don't see how this is breaking that. I'm curious, again. I feel like we're tricking them into this whole, let's fight about this. Well, okay, and cool if we lose, by the way, guys. Don't get pissed. But what that'll mean then is that we can sue in every other district across this country. Every single state's going to have to redraw their maps if this ends up being the direction we go, or the Supreme Court's going to be kind of stuck, just basically going, dude, this is your guys' thing. We're not gonna speak. You guys drop your map. That's your call. If it's their Supreme Court specifically, then excellent. They'll figure it out. They can't, because otherwise every place is going to get rechecked, re-questioned. So we'll see. The Supreme Court's decision. Yeah, it should be the Texas Supreme Court if it's the Texas. So anyway, hopefully we're getting this right. All said, craziness is so much fun. We've got so much cool stuff going on. Oops. There it is. UCLA says Trump administration suspended $584 million in grants. Again, states that are losing money, and colleges that are specifically getting called out. Awesome. Again, I'm close to this in the pain factor, but this is fantastic. This needs to happen. I'm so proud of the fact that we as a nation are doing this. So, again, I'm even in one of the areas where some of the bombs are falling, but the bombs need to fall. Trump administration fires ex-acting FBI director seen as the champion of rank-and-file staff. This guy was the one that wouldn't give up the January 6 files. Brian Driscoll. He had apparently returned to his career post at the Bureau since departing its top spot, and he has now been asked to leave. So it's like, thanks for getting back to your regular job. I noticed you had a box there by your desk. You might want to hang on to that. So yeah, he's got to leave by Friday, which is cool that they give him some time. Maybe they'll give him some cake or something. Be nice. We'll see. Trump's putting more feds on D.C. streets in response to out-of-control youth violence to beat up big balls. Which messed up that it was big balls that got beat up, right? Very sad. So Trump is National Guarding it I guess, it seems. He's putting the National Guard was spotted outside D.C. Armory Thursday morning. So their expectation, and Trump made a twit or a truth somewhere to the effect of, said D.C. residents can expect to see an increase in federal enforcement starting as early as tomorrow. Right? So he's doing something about it. Piro says, big balls attacks. We've got to lower the age of responsibility to 14. This, I guess, bums me out a little bit, but then again, I honestly think a 14-year-old is old enough to understand you don't kill other people, you don't beat up other people, you don't, and if you do that, if it's someone your own age, I don't know, maybe it's a different story, but when you're ganging up on people, that's like a different set of standards now, and that's odd. That's being controlled from above anyways. So this is kind of an interesting aggression that the law is doing that we're probably going to tolerate, that maybe if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would have told you, F no, I'll fight that tooth and nail, I'll die on that hill. And at this point, I'm like, man, yeah. I think a 14-year-old ought to know, don't do that. And if you're somebody that is doing that, then you're going to pay the big boy price. That's what happens. You're going to think about it for a while. Trump demands Intel CEO that's linked to China, big time linked to China. He wants him to resign. He says it's the only way you can move forward. Trump's statements came after U.S. Senator Tom Cotton sent a letter to Intel's board chair raising concerns over Tan's connection to China and a criminal case involving his previous company, Cadence Design. The CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. There is no other solution to this problem. Of course, thank you for your attention to this matter. So Intel's huge. This is a big deal. Now, did it affect the stock market? I don't know. It kind of, a little. This dude Tan, what's his first name? Are you kidding me? Lip Boo Tan. I don't make this stuff up. There's just literally Lip Boo. Whatever. I mean, sometimes life's just hand you lemon. You're like, I like lemonade, so it's cool. We're on this. Tan assumed the role of CEO in March, succeeding Pat Gelsinger. Under his leadership, Intel has aimed at cutting costs and apparently giving a bunch of stuff to China, probably. All said, we'll see what happens. But that's pretty messed up. Trump truthed this out. The CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign. Yeah, we already showed that. Cathay Pacific makes first Boeing wide-body purchase. So again, some good stuff for Boeing and in general, just our country. This is a big part of what Trump's been trying to do with getting money into this great United States of America. And here we are doing exactly that. So Cathay, they purchased 14 Boeing 777-9 9 series jet, $8 billion. Dang, 7 more in possible, like, hey, we might want to get some more. Just keep the tab open after we start paying on it, I guess. That's cool. That's more examples of Trump being awesome. Apparently, Schumer showed up and was trying to, talk to Trump, make a deal. First off, Schumer sucks at making a deal. Second off, he's got nothing to deal with. Trump knows that. Trump's hold all the cards, every one of the cards. It's like, Schumer, you've got no cards, 0 cards. I know you've got 0. I just wanted to point out this picture because it's kind of funny. You see his foot? That's not good. Okay, normal people don't walk like this. Dude's got a hip problem or some shit. That's not cool. It's jacking you up, buddy. Schumer, if you're watching this, dude, walk normal. Get that foot straightened out, man. You're causing damage. I know you're like 100, so how much am I really going to help you at this point in your life? I'm just saying. You're retarded. That's all. I mean, we can get you help. Yeah, Trump kicked him out. Nothing. They didn't have anything. Nothing came from it. Donald Trump truthed this out. Reciprocal tariffs take effect at midnight tonight. He truthed this yesterday. So today, reciprocal tariffs went into effect. Billions of dollars, largely from countries that have taken advantage of the United States for many years, laughing all the way. Ha, 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 ha. Bells of bobtails ring. Anyway, will start flowing into the USA. The only thing that can stop America's greatness would be the radical left court that wants to see our country fail. That's pretty awesome. It's funny with the stock market, right? Because it's not, it had a down day, but it's not bad. Like, right? But the tariffs. But nothing has happened that they've said were going to happen with the tariffs. Howard Lutnick was talking about a $50 billion a month of tariff money coming in, what it's going to do for this country. Just some stuff. Check it out.
Last month, it averaged just over $30 billion. And as of last night, midnight, the tariffs went up. I think we're going to be heading towards $50 billion a month in tariff revenue that no one's talked about except for the president. So think about $50 billion a month, and that's where we are now. And then you're going to get the semiconductors, you're going to get pharmaceuticals, you're going to get all sorts of additional tariff money coming in. And as the president says, this could continue to head towards and ultimately reach $1 trillion. I mean, these are amazing numbers for the United States of America, and no one's retaliating. Everybody understands you've got to sell to the American consumer. The American consumer is the most powerful factor in the earth for the economy, and Donald Trump is harnessing it for the benefit of the American people.
What can you tell us about this 40% transshipment levy?
So the idea is, you know, it's one thing to set a tariff. So we set a tariff on Vietnam of 20%, but that's for Vietnamese goods. If some other country, let's say China, wants to send things to Vietnam and have Vietnam then sell them to America, that comes with 40%. So if China wants to send stuff to America, let's just do it through China. Let's stop this nonsense of sending it through other countries. So that's the idea, which is if it's your country, you pay your tariff, and if it actually has significant content, like 30% from any other country, then it should be taxed at that other country's tariff. Yeah. And that's a higher tariff, obviously.
And
so
that,
I like this guy. I like everybody in the, well, pretty much everybody. I think everybody in the Trump administration. These guys are rock stars, man. India's Modi remains defiant in the face of Trump's 50% tariff. It doesn't matter that much. They don't buy anything from us. So I think we're seeing, and certainly this rag, National Pulse, it's their British, the guy that does most of the writing, that owns it anyways, is British. So he kind of cares about that stuff a little more than we do. All said, India's never really done anything big with us. They don't buy our weapons, yada, yada, yada. So, man, they don't care. It's not that big a deal. They're like, we're still going to get along, so it's cool. Don't worry about it. Relax. Just come down. Trump's going to allow crypto and other things in 401 retirement plans for U.S. workers. The White House released this today. This is actually pretty sweet, assuming I can find the spot. So, yeah, once this is implemented, let's see, Americans are going to be able to do digital assets in their 401ks, as well as, there it is. This is the part I wanted. Alternative assets they want to be able to add into these in defined contribution plans, which is 401k, including digital assets, which hasn't been defined yet, but they're talking about it. Also, private equity and real estate, which is super cool, by the way. So the 401k, I mean, I know a lot of people are like, it's just Bitcoin. Yeah, totally. But real estate, that's pretty rad. Like, that'd be fun to be able to wrap real estate up into a 401k also. So again, this is an interesting idea of expanding this. And yeah, people are excited about the crypto part. Bank of England cut their rates. They had to vote twice on it, which is apparently, I don't think, ever happened. They're saying it's the first time they've required a second round of voting. That's kind of weird. But they did cut it by 1/4 point to 4%. So this is the Bank of England. Everyone's cutting rates except too late Powell, of course. All right, let's see where we're at right now. It should be reasonably up to date. So again, it's funny, right? NASDAQ started pretty strong in the high direction and then came down all day, right? But the tariffs went into effect this morning. Shouldn't it have gone down and then gone up because everybody's scared of tariffs? Now, we do have a teeny tiny bit of downward turn for S&P and Dow. Dow's down point-wise quite a bit, but, I mean, it's 0.5%, so Gold's up a bunch, $32 anyways. I think silver was up a little bit too. We were sitting at up 50 cents, up 52 cents right now. Silver's at 38.4. That's pretty freaking awesome. So, again, that means the dollar's losing value. It's not necessarily a good thing. I just, again, want to remind you guys, if you've got a 401k or an IRA, they're working on giving you better options. But I'll tell you what, protection is what precious metals does. And protection is, in this case, what you need. We're going to go to a new currency, most likely. Again, Goldco's not going to necessarily agree with this. They help you do this tax-free, penalty-free. They're going to give you up to 10% free silver. They're going to give you all sorts of cool stuff, right? Like maybe even the collector's coin, a whole bunch of cool stuff. what you're going to have is peace of mind. What you're going to have is not having to worry about all the crazy radicalness that's going to be going on in the stock market. Again, we're not happy with the Fed. Fed needs to sort of be dealt with. Now, they're maybe going to get subsumed into the Treasury. Again, how this plays out, we don't know. It could be radical, could cause major bad stock day. Doesn't have to. There's got to be something, I think, that catches people's attention. But, how this plays out, what having precious metals does is you don't worry about it. And then when we finally get to the new world, the new place, the new whatever, right? Then the treasury notes that are going to be backed by precious metals, you just take your precious metals that you currently have and just, boom, straight into treasury note. It's already ready to go. It's already in the thing that's backing it. You're already taking that big step. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system while you can. Probably the best prices we're going to be seeing. I mean, there's talk. October, again, there's a lot of talk. Price of silver going 50 and higher. Talk of gold breaking 5. There's just talk. So I think there's still a lot of funkiness baked in. And this might be a good time to consider getting the process going. It's not something that just happens in 4 seconds. Takes a couple minutes. So this is the best company to do it. They got the best customer service you'll ever deal with. Some of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever had the privilege of dealing with. I love the group that I get to work with over there. Beautiful people. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. We've got RFK doing some great stuff. I love this dude. They are talking about getting the prices of drugs down.
Companies.
And they should be, and that's for sure. Drug prices are ridiculous. Personally, I think it's better to try to wean ourselves off the drugs if I were you guys, or I wouldn't necessarily jump to some of these drugs that are out there, but you guys are going to do what you guys are going to do, right? All said, the prices should be reduced, and we shouldn't have to pay more here because we're Americans. That's stupid, and RFK Jr. is doing something about it.
The United States basically pays for global pharmaceutical research. Yep. So U.S. citizens, we account for about 70% of the profits for the pharmaceutical industry. We're only 4.2% of the world's population. And the reason for that is that other countries simply won't pay for it. And so the drug companies sell to other nations to say we're not going to pay for these more expensive prices. And what we've now told the drug companies is whatever the lowest price that you're paying in any other nation, that's what you're going to charge here. And there's ways that we can do that. The way that we can do this is that most of the drugs that are purchased in this country are purchased by Medicaid and Medicare. These are government programs, so we can tell the drug companies we're not going to pay anymore. But we also want them to lower the price for the private market. And we have other tools for getting them to do that. We're trying to get them to volunteer to do that. And
maybe you got to push a little further and a little stronger. Are you facing some sort of
it's not
resistance from Big Pharma particularly?
Well, of course. You can get Ozempic, for example, in this country. I think the list price is $1,300 a month. And in London, you can buy the exact same drug that's made in the same factory in New Jersey for $88 a month. And so President Trump has said this is something that has been bothering him a long time, and that we're not going to do it anymore.
Probably because I heard he takes Adderall. He might. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would definitely be possible. But yes, then we should be paying the same price. RFK Jr.'s food revolution is going to begin next month, apparently, too. He does talk about how he hopes to see all the states involved in this, but this essentially is not allowing junk food on the SNAP program, right? And again, when they started allowing them to buy like McDonald's and stuff, that really bothered me. And I get it. Like I get the arguments anyways. I don't necessarily agree with them, but pushing people to easy, less healthy alternatives to me is just a bad idea, right? Like you're trying to do something, quote unquote, to help people that are in need. Well, help them in a good way. Don't just give them shit food, right? Like give them something that is good. And allowing them to buy shit food is, I don't know if that's necessarily cool. Just because it's maybe easier doesn't mean you should let them do it. Why don't we let them buy alcohol? Because we know what would happen in a lot of cases, right? So he says he hopes to see all 50 states. We'll see. We'll see if they can keep pushing that, make it happen. Chat control. EU's proposing to scan all private messages before they are encrypted. And I just want you all to know that takes away the point of encryption. Takes away the point of having something like Signal or even Telegram in many cases, WhatsApp. They don't want to have any encryption. They want to be able to get in on that encryption. Now, this is something that is, I think, going to be optioned for certain countries, because to have access to all, like, America's stuff, too, because you in Europe decide that you should be able to see everything. And it's like, no, you are allowed to see stuff for your people, sure, maybe. I mean, even that, I think, I'm hoping Trump has a war with these people at some point over this. This will be very interesting, how we play that game. Trade is going to be part of that, possibly, right? But we'll see. We'll just constantly threaten, we'll raise tariffs, like, which is bad for them. Trump is set to announce the initial deal to end the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia. They're fighting. I didn't even know they started fighting, frankly, folks. This snuck up on me a little bit. I'll be honest. The war is over, though, apparently. That part's good. So it's maybe been going on. Azerbaijan's president, he and the Armenia prime minister, those two people, I'm not going to say their names because, I want to give them respect. They're going to attend the events in the Oval Office and State Dining Room, the source said. The agreement, the first ever inked between two heads of state, comes as U.S. officials seek to deepen ties with the two countries, with energy production and transit as key attractions. Yeah, how long have they been fighting? They have been a series of conflicts between the two neighbors over the past 3 decades. Wow, 30 damn years. Okay, that's why. They're just always pissed off at each other. Every once in a while, they'll lob a bomb over, or a missile, rocket, whatever, flying plane. Japan worked out a sweet little deal with Australia. Kind of cool. Making boats. They're going to make some boats for Australia, some ships. Some very cool Japanese-type ship, too. I forget, where's the Mogami class. The Mogami class warship. Very cool. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is going to be doing this. This kind of stuff's happening. I think Korea is going to be helping maybe with us making some boats, too. There's probably certain classes of boats that aren't necessarily top secret, the construction designs, that kind of stuff. There is a bit to understanding how to make bigger ships, and modular is kind of one of the things that we've been having fun with, especially submarines. That's especially unique, the manufacturing techniques. All said, this is cool stuff. Australia and Japan, the biggest deal ever for these two countries, certainly. They're saying it's about 5.6 billion euro, $6.5 billion American, or $10 billion Australian. In case you were curious on where the exchanges are at right now. The IDF chief clashes with Netanyahu over full permanent takeover of Gaza Strip. He doesn't like the idea. Eyal Zamir, he's lieutenant general, reportedly sharply disagreed with prime minister. It's much like the difference between like a mild cheddar and a sharp cheddar. He sharply disagreed with that mofo. It's still both delicious cheeses, though, right? I don't know. I have a hard time with that one. But that said, he'll probably get fired or fall downstairs or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens to the poor guy. God bless you, sir. I wish all sorts of wonderfulness for you. Said people are tired. The army's tired. Trying to take Gaza is going to be a pain in the ass. Basically, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. And I think pretty much might have been where it ended. But, yeah. That's it. Former Chinese trade czar is re-emerging amid the trade tensions that are happening between Beijing and us. Is this my girl? Which one is this? I feel like this is... Yeah, Tiffany. Tiffany. I'd like her to tell us about this, because it's actually kind of a big deal. This, what's going on with China trade? The CCP, she's, by the way, it's so funny. She says this Liu Hu. You've never... H-E. Hu. She said like who, something like that. I'm so glad she knows how to pronounce these Chinese words. One of the many reasons I like her. Let's call it that. Talking about the trade difference, though, and they've got the new trade czar guy from Trump's original trade talks, if you will, or tariff talks, I should say. So this is a big deal. I don't know. We'll see.
It's less than a week until the U.S.-China tariff truce deadline on August 12th, and so far there's little clarity on what comes next. Now, a recent appearance by a former senior Chinese official is sparking new speculation. Is Beijing testing the waters for a more dovish approach on trade? Liu He, the former vice premier who led China's trade negotiations with the U.S. during the first Trump administration, is back in the spotlight. Washington-based U.S.-China Business Council posted the news last Friday on the Chinese social media platform WeChat. It said Liu He recently met with a U.S. delegation in Beijing. Executives from FedEx, Boeing, Apple, and Goldman Sachs were among those attending. It's rare for the Chinese regime to allow Liu He to hold direct talks with American business leaders amid ongoing trade tensions. Unlike Xi Jinping, Liu is known for his dovish stance toward the U.S. and his expertise in U.S.-China trade affairs. He represented Beijing in negotiations with President Trump's team back in 2018. However, when the trade war escalated this year, Beijing did not call him back. Instead, He Lifeng took the lead as China's chief trade negotiator with the U.S. Over the past year, Liu has been rarely seen in public. The Financial Times reported months ago that multiple unnamed sources say Liu's son is under investigation by Chinese authorities. NTD cannot independently verify this report. A U.S.-based China political commentator says Liu He's rare reappearance signals that Beijing may be softening its stance and looking for a way out of the trade deadlock with Washington. But another analyst, Li Lingyi, offers a different take. He doesn't think Liu's return signals a dovish shift from Beijing. Instead, he says it's part of a power struggle by an anti-Xi faction trying to challenge Xi Jinping's hold on power, promoting Liu He while sidelining Xi's current top trade negotiator, He Lifeng. Meanwhile, veteran U.S.-China affairs commentator Alan Zhang says this points to competing voices within the Chinese regime over future U.S. policy.
There are indeed two factions within the Chinese Communist Party. One is the reformist or pro-U.S. faction represented by figures like Wen Xiaobao and Wang Yang. The other is the hardline or confrontational faction exemplified by Xi Jinping. Currently, neither side has full control of the situation, and the CCP's institutional inertia tends to lean toward confrontation.
And we'll keep you updated as the trade situation develops.
Oh, such a sweet lady. Yeah, so China's CCP and Xi and all this stuff, there's a bunch of stuff that's coming out that suggests they're having issues. This is interesting because the war in Russia likely going to stop. Taiwan thing, don't know. Maybe it doesn't get resolved. Does it have to? I don't know. Right? Maybe it just stays where it's at. What is happening, how it's happening, what's maybe possibly in the wings. Israel's still in there trying to kill people, and they're like, no, stop killing people. And they're like, we must kill people. It's what we do. And so I think Israel's going to be the ones that has the hardest time. Like, you know, once all Hamas is dead and you know, all that stuff, right? And then it's like, all right, well, like, who can we kill now? Like, they're gonna have a hard time. Israel's constantly been at war pretty much since its inception. So this is all interesting times. Devastating U.S. report lays bare the abuses of settled climate science and its role in net zero. There's some new studies. 5 specific scientists are part of this. This is our Department of Energy. I got new information out. There's a new study that's pretty cool, I guess, but a lot of the talk is just around the computer models, the science that's used to do those. They're generally wrong. There's a lot of science that suggests when CO2 levels raise, that plants start to behave differently and different things start to happen in an actual positive way. We also got out of an ice age not long ago, so we are possibly in a slight warming cycle just geologically on this planet. There's just a lot of factors that we don't like to pay attention to because there's this narrative that they like to build, right? And so that's part of, I think, what's come out from this. A lot of good stuff in there. And this WhatsApp with that's actually one of the sites I every once in a while look at. It feels very left-leaning to me. every time I read it, it feels very left-leaning. But they do pull out some really good climate stuff that is useful. United Airlines ground flights nationwide, over 1,000 flights, to my understanding. They had a technology issue, but it wasn't hacking, they say. No, it wasn't that. We don't know what it was. It just wasn't hacking. It wasn't that for sure. Don't know what it was, but it definitely wasn't hacking. Right? Because we don't know what it is, but we know what it's not. I hope that sounds as ridiculous to you as it did to me. Meta WhatsApp, it closes 7 million accounts linked to scams. Go figure. They had a bunch of crap accounts on WhatsApp. Apparently 6.8 million. They rounded up. Whatever. But yeah, criminal scammers. So yeah, WhatsApp, not a big fan, obviously. You guys know me. Jeff Bezos' dream just got one step closer to becoming reality. Transportation Secretary Sean P. Duffy revealed the plan. Has to do with drones. They're going to allow drones under 400 feet, up to 1,320 pounds. And Amazon's probably one of the key places that will see them start to be used. Kind of a brilliant idea in some places. I think places like where I live, honestly, there's just so many homes in such a small clustered area that trucks actually make more sense, just is easier. But when you're talking about, some of the more boonies type areas where, it might make a lot of sense to use a drone, you're going to save yourself a crap ton of money. So much smarter. So again, that'll be pretty cool. And then I'd like to see people be like, I ordered a refrigerator just to see if the drone would bring it. I was like, probably not, but that'd be cool as hell. So yeah, Amazon's excited. Just drone technology in general in this country is going to start to move up. But this is a big part of AI. It's a big part of why we're going to need data centers that are going to be abnormally huge. We're going to need insane amounts of power. I'm expecting that it's either going to be fission or fusion. It's either going to be fusion reactors. Yeah, because you crush it together, it's easier to control. Either going to be fusion or we're going to go into some sort of other freer technology, which could happen. I don't know how that transition occurs. We're very heavily involved with oil and everything. Those monies need to start transferring into other industries. It's just kind of how this is going to kind of need to play out. So how that transition and how quickly it happens and how that occurs is going to be very, very interesting. All said, we're, I think, moving in that direction for sure. Stuck astronauts. You guys remember those two people that got stuck up there because Boeing couldn't get them back, the Starliner, unfortunately. Poor Boeing. They were up there 9 months, supposed to be 9 days or something like that. And all said, the dude, Butch Wilmore, he's departed NASA. He's retired. He's all, I don't know. They don't say. Kind of makes me wonder, if he's maybe a little jacked up. Going up there and not expecting to be up there that long, it's really hard on the body, so they say. Zero gravity, or at least being in constant free fall, which is really what you're in. It's not really zero gravity per se, but let's not get lost in the weeds. A lot's happening. I've got Great Law of One show coming up here in a little bit. I think 37, 38 are the episodes. 37's kind of interesting. It's just one of those ones where the dude talks for a bit, trying to understand how he should put his book out. I still find some of that information fascinating, but there is one killer question in 37 at the very, very end that's pretty sweet, and then 38's got some juice in there. So we're going to have some fun with that. I hope you guys enjoy. It's going to be 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and look forward to seeing you guys, or if not, check it out afterwards. I've done a bunch of them. I do 2 episodes every time. We're at 37, 38, so quick math. I think I've done 19 episodes thus far. Sounds right? Something like that. All said, got music coming up too, doing the Beatles, a.k.a. 4 for Friday, so I'm splitting them up into their own little category and then playing some Beatles, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. I hope you guys join me for that as well, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday. And we'll be doing that live. Again, you can listen to it afterwards. So it's always fun. The music's great. I've been listening to last week's show for a little while now. It's some of my favorite songs, so I've been loving that one. That one's freaking awesome, especially on the bike. I can hear it really well, too, which is fantastic. All set. I love you guys. We got a lot going on. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep, even Sean's going to be involved every once in a while. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. He effed up the front, but we'll see what happens. All set. I love it. Thank you guys for doing the ripples with me. Couldn't do it without you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.